Before I begin, listen closely. In Lagos, everybody wants to blow. Everybody wants soft life. But sometimes, what you see on Instagram is not what is happening inside their midnight shadows. Tonight, I will tell you the story of 3 fashionable girls everyone admired. The whole campus called them the iPhone Baddies. They were beautiful. They were classy. They always had the latest iPhone before even tech bloggers reviewed it. But behind their glow, behind their matching wigs and designer handbags, was something dark, something no one expected. And when one boy finally discovered their secret, everything scattered. My friend, before we enter this matter, hit the subscribe button so you won't miss the next story. Now, let us begin. The girls, everyone wanted to be their names, were Amaka, the leader. Light-skinned, always wore nude lip gloss and bone-straight wig, Binta. Tall Fulani beauty with lashes long enough to fan a fire. Tari, the soft-spoken one, chocolate skin with dimples. Always smiling, but her eyes carried secrets. Together they were like a walking billboard of perfection. They moved in a squad, always with matching outfits, Gucci bags, Dior slides, latest nails, heavy perfume, and always the newest iPhone in their hands. When iPhone 15 Pro Max dropped, they posted it the same day. People screamed, even influencers never get this phone and these girls are just students. Daddy must be rich-o. No, they have rich boyfriends. Maybe they do runs. Nobody knew the answer, but everybody wanted to be them. Even girls with sense began saving TikTok sounds like soft life or nothing. God when? My phone must change this year. Boys tried to toast them. They ignored everybody, except the famous Lagos boys with cars and chains. They never answered poor boys' DMs. They carried themselves like queens, and the school worshipped them like goddesses. But every night, when they got home, they locked their door and whispered about the rule. A rule they must never break. A rule only the 3 of them knew. If they ever disobeyed it, everything they had would disappear. The boy who watched too closely, his name was Chika, final year student, quiet type, not loud, not flashy. He had only one old techno phone, but he had a sharp mind. While everyone was shouting, God when, Chika was taking notes. He studied them. He watched how their phones never went off. He noticed their phones never crashed, never hung, and even when everyone complained of power bank issues, their batteries never ran down. Nobody thought it was strange, but Chika was different. His mother used to call him, my son that sees what others do not see. One day after class, he followed them discreetly. He expected they would enter a Benz. But they didn't. Instead, they walked into a quiet street behind campus. They reached an old abandoned bungalow, dusty roof, broken gate, no light. Chika froze. Why would girls with 800,000 yen phones and designer bags enter a dirty abandoned house? He watched. They knocked 3 times. A voice inside said, Are you ready to renew? They replied in chorus, We are ready. Then they disappeared inside, and the door locked. Chika's skin crawled. Girls with soft life entering a dirty shrine-looking house. Something was wrong. But he wasn't ready for what he would discover next. Chika waited 2 hours when they finally came out. Their bags looked fuller, their faces were glowing, and they were laughing. He heard Amaka say quietly, We must do the next one before the 21st. If we miss it, we lose everything. Binta nodded. The spirit doesn't like disappointment. Spirit? Chika's heart jumped. He began researching. He asked an elderly Malam who sold things nearby, Baba, that house, who owns it? The Malam's face changed immediately. He said quietly, My son, don't go there. Once that house was a shrine. Then it became a cult meeting place for rich women. They say inside the girls trade something for wealth. Trade what? Chika asked. The man whispered, Memories. Chika didn't understand. The Malam continued. They sacrifice their own memories. Every month, They give up one memory, and they receive money, beauty, expensive things. Chica stepped back slowly. He asked, "But what happens when they run out of memories?" The Malam looked at him sadly. "My son, when you lose all your memories, you lose yourself." Chica's blood ran cold as days passed. Chica began to notice the signs. Tari, the sweet one, forgot her lecturer's name. Binta couldn't remember her own street address. Amaka once stood in front of the cafeteria and asked, "Which way leads to the hostel again?" People laughed. They said, "These girls don't read, they only know fashion." But Chica knew the truth. They were forgetting pieces of themselves. Every time they upgraded to the next iPhone, wore the next designer. The cost was a memory, and soon, they would forget everything. One night, Tari sat alone, crying. Chica approached softly. "Are you okay?" She flinched. "Do I know you?" He sighed. "Yes, my name is Chica. We were in the same department since first year." She stared at him like she was staring at a stranger. Then she whispered, "Something is wrong with us, I know it. But I don't know what I forgot." He decided he would save them, even if they hated him, even if they denied it, even if it cost him everything. On the 21st night, a storm hit Lagos. Rain, thunder, lightning. The iPhone baddies dressed in pure white and headed to the abandoned house. They carried their phones and a small glass jar each. Inside each jar was something that glowed faintly. Memories. The last pieces of who they were. Chica followed. They entered. He hid behind a broken window. Inside was a woman in red, ageless, smiling with silver eyes. She spoke. "Welcome for your final offer. I shall give you more than phones. I shall give you influence, fame, 1,000,000 followers. But you must trade the memory of your own mothers." The girls hesitated. Their hands shook, their eyes filled with confusion. Tari whispered, "But we love our mothers," the woman said. "Exactly. That is why the exchange will be powerful." Chica burst in. "Stop!" the woman hissed. The candles flickered. He shouted, "They are losing themselves. They won't even remember who they are." Tari began crying uncontrollably. Amaka froze. Binta dropped her jar, and it shattered. The glowing memory dissolved like smoke. The woman screamed, "Fools! You broke the rule!" The ground shook, lights went out. Their phones fell and cracked like glass. The glow vanished. One after the other, they collapsed. Not dead, not fainted, just empty. When they woke up hours later, they remembered nothing. Not their lifestyle, not their fame, not their names, nothing. Their entire past was wiped like factory reset. Chica wept silently. They had lost everything, not because of poverty, but because they were willing to trade themselves for a picture-perfect life online. Years later, students still whisper the story. Whenever a girl becomes suddenly rich and suddenly forgetful, they say, maybe she is part of the iPhone baddies. Some say Amaka works in a supermarket today, quiet, smiling, not knowing her past. Some say Tari now sells recharge cards in front of a pharmacy, happy but clueless. Some say Binta sits every evening at 3rd Mainland Bridge, watching cars, waiting for someone she cannot remember. And Chica, he finished school quietly, never chased soft life, never traded his memories. Whenever people ask him why he still uses a small techno, he just smiles and says, "I prefer to remember who I am." So my friends, not all that glitters is gold. Some phones are expensive because the owner already paid with something priceless. Before you envy anybody, ask yourself, what did they trade? To shine that bright? If this story touched you, share it. And don't forget to subscribe for more powerful African folk tales.